Welcome to another episode of the Executive Interview Series. I'm Kevin Kermis, and today I am joined by Vicki Donlan, who will be talking about networking and sharing some practical advice so that you can get better results. Let me share first a little bit about Vicki. She's a business coach and business broker working with business owners to start, grow, and plan an exit for their businesses. Her extensive experience working with small businesses, growing and selling her own, and having a far-reaching network cause her to be a resource every entrepreneur needs. She's the former publisher and founder of Women's Business, a newspaper devoted to women in business, which she successfully sold in 2007. And her first book, Her Turn, Why It's Time for Women to Lead in America, was published in September of 2007 as well. Well, Vicki, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
Glad to have you. Well, let's dive right into it. In talking about networking, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see made when it comes to networking?
Well, you know, networking is such an important part of business, and one of the first areas that I see networkers make a mistake is handing out their business card to everyone they meet with the idea that all they need to do is get their business cards into somebody's hand and the phone will start ringing off the hook. The most important part of networking, of course, is getting information about other people. And if you spend all of your time handing out your card and not finding out who these individuals are, it's very difficult to find out why they might be the appropriate person to do business with. Secondly, you know, spending time at an event, getting to know people, looking for that common denominator. Because once you find that common denominator between you and that other person, the follow-up is so important, and it makes it so much easier to figure out how you're going to be able to do business together. And so follow-up is very important as well. I can't tell you, Kevin, how often I go to a business meeting, and while networking and spending the evening meeting so many wonderfully interesting people and never hearing from any of those people. So follow-up is a very important part of networking. And thirdly, talking too much about yourself. Again, in networking, it's all about listening for the clues from others to find out how you might be able to work with them. So in order to do that, the first step in networking is asking about somebody else's business, learning as much as you can about them to see how you're going to be able to do business together.
Well, you know, you hit on so many important, and there's kind of like a recurring theme there, which I think some people think of networking as being this, I don't know, this secondary skill set, or there's some kind of transformation, you move into networking mode, when the reality is it's about building relationships.
Exactly.
And determining who you can build relationships with that are going to work for both of you. And some of, you know, they don't have to be equally weighted. This is not a transactional kind of situation as much as it is trying to...
And depending upon your business and the cycle of transaction, you know, building a relationship is important. When you go to a networking event, if you're in the real estate business, the chances of meeting somebody at that first meeting and selling them a house on the spot is pretty unlikely.
Absolutely.
Getting to know people, building a relationship so that they want to do business with you in the long term is all the reason you're there in the first place.
Absolutely. Well, following on the heels of that, what are 3 things that you'd recommend for anyone listening that they could do today to become more effective at networking?
Well, the first thing is stop being stressed about networking because, as I said earlier, it's not about you telling the story of your life or your business. It's about listening to the story about other people. People love to talk about themselves. So if you give people the opportunity to talk about themselves and their business, they'll go on and on and on. You know, with my clients, I suggest that they think of networking as a game. Set yourself a goal for how many people you want to meet in an event and how many cards you'd like to exchange. That way, if you don't play the game, you can't win. And you know when you're walking into a networking event, if you set up your strategy and you take a look at the room and you first know what kind of people are in the room, whether this is perhaps an industry trade group or a social event for a variety of industries, you can already plan your strategy of who and how you're going to network in the room. Ask each person you meet and think about how you might be able to do business with them or get referrals to do business. You know, I think so many people don't realize that although the person you're talking with may not be someone who is an appropriate person to do business with, building that relationship may mean that they will refer you to somebody else. So that would be the second thing. Realize that everybody is a potential referral to somebody else. And once again, I need to remind everybody, talk less and listen more. That common denominator that you're looking for is so important. It could be a sports connection. It could be a college connection. It could be something to do with children. So many things are so important. I always remind my clients that on the back of a business card that someone has given you, write down a little clue as something that will remind you what you talked about with that person. So when you make that follow-up call, you'll have something to connect you right there and then.
You know, I always talk to clients about moving people through the process of getting to know, like, and trust you. And when you talked about the referral piece, I think that is an enormously missed opportunity for a lot of people who are always looking at what is, you know, if they're selling something, they've got a solution, they've got a product, they've got a service, they're in the midst of a job search, they're looking at that, what can that person right there do for them right now? And what I've always found interesting is that when you look at marketing from a consumer purchase standpoint, the percentage of people that buy based off just straight line advertising, I've always heard the percentage to be somewhere around 5%. Maybe a little bit more than that, maybe a little bit less than that. The people who buy because their friends tell them, you know, I bought OxyClean and it's amazing what it's done since I've washed with it. You know, I bought the Dyson and yes, it's I can't believe how clean my my floors and my carpet is. That sits closer around 80%. And when you think about that in terms of networking, which the same principles are the same, because it's again not as if you flip a switch in your brain, that reference, that referral, somebody saying, hey, you know, Vicki's somebody you need to talk to, is enormous.
Perfectly. People do business with the people they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
And for people to get to know you, you have to build a relationship. Trust takes time to build, and so you have to know that networking is something that you do on a regular basis over a long period of time. But networking absolutely does pay off in the end. But you have to go in it with the idea that you're there to help other people, because when you help others, it does eventually come back.
Yes, it's a muscle that will atrophy if not used.
Exactly.
Well, in closing, and all this has been great, any additional comments or resources that you would like to share with people regarding networking?
You know, it's as simple as wearing a smile on your face, and I know that sounds so trite, but people are attracted to friendly people. And if you wear a smile on your face on a regular basis, people are going to come and want to talk to you. They feel that you're a comfortable person to talk to. You know, you have to remember that if you feel uncomfortable at a networking event that you don't know anyone, there are other people in the room that feel the exact same way. So open yourself up to others. Allow people to feel comfortable coming over to meet with you. And you'll be surprised at how quickly you can become a very effective networker just by listening and letting other people tell their story.
Well, Vicki, this has been great. What's the best way for people to reach you if they want to contact you directly?
The best way is to go to my website. It's www.vickidonlan.com. And you can contact me through my email there. It's Vicki@VickiDonlan.com. And I'm happy to get in touch with anybody and help them with their networking, because it's so important to your business.
Well, hey, thank you again for taking time to share your thoughts today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin.
Well, for more in the executive interview series, you can visit us at KermisConsulting.com. And for both Vicki and myself, this is Kevin Kermis, signing off.